So I'm not filming you, but I'm filming me, just in case I say something important or... I didn't hear what you said. Sometimes, you know, when we do stuff like this and I get in teaching mode, it's like, you know, I should have probably done something, you know, I should have maybe recorded that. I thought maybe it was good. Some of my students, when they start playing, I tell them, you should video yourself, or you should, you know, do an audio of your playing. And they're like, I don't know, I'm not good enough for that. But I let them know that it's not because you're good enough, it's because you can use it as a mirror. You can use it as a tool to look back and say, you know, in a month from now or 6 months from now, to look and go, wow, I have gotten better. Or you can look at what you've done and you can make a good judgment about it because you're not behind the guitar thinking that you're just wonderful. You know, I do this all the time, of course. You guys have watched my videos and things like that. I remember playing through the song and thinking, I kind of messed up that B minor chord, or, you know, or that F sharp minor chord, and I'm thinking, well, I'll just keep going. Then when I looked at the recording, I went, wow, it sounds good. It sounds a lot better than I thought it was. So sometimes we can get an understanding that, oh, it wasn't as bad as we thought it was, or maybe it was worse than we actually thought it was. Let's go on, and I'm going to talk just a little bit about this tablature that I received. And I praised him for it because, and you know, and I put a picture of that so that you could look at it. I even, just before this session, I attached it in case you wanted to open it up and look at it. Because there are a lot of good things about it, but then there are some things that need to be addressed, you know, some things that he didn't realize, or didn't realize what was going on in the particular music or something, or maybe he didn't know how to notate it. So let's talk about that just for a second. And one thing that's really important, Steve or Dean or Bud, you know, have you ever done a tablature? Have you ever written out a tablature for yourself? Okay. Okay. Right. It's really valuable to actually physically copy a tablature. You know, you don't have to do the whole thing, but to just, you know, maybe copy 8 measures or something like that, and to think about it. And, you know, if you're not comfortable with tablature, I'll tell you, it took me 2 years to really be comfortable. Once it became mainstream and I had people bringing me tabs and saying, hey, teach me this, or could you tab that out for me? You know, it's like, okay, because I used to do it backwards a lot. I used to think of it, you know, wrong. In fact, when I first started doing videos, there's a couple of videos where I did the EADGBE on the video itself when I put it on the screen, and I did it backwards a couple of times. And I didn't even realize it. But I actually did the numbers correctly, but I did the letters, so I stopped doing the letters completely because I didn't want to mess up anymore. Which we really don't need anyway. But it took me a while to actually understand in my head how to do that, because I'd been playing for over 20 years before tablature even became mainstream. Another thing is that when we understand how to play, we really have to understand beats. You know, so this particular one is that I'm looking at is Time in a Bottle. Maybe you've seen it before. Right? Let's see. Something like that, you know, Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce. If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do... Oops. You know, I didn't practice for this. But you get the idea, right? So, where are the beats? You know? And what is it in? Is it in 2/4 time? Is it in 3/4 time? 4/4 time? 6/8 time? Right? Maybe you know this. Somebody give me an answer. I'm sorry, what? Okay. Anybody else? Have an idea? Exactly, it's 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And part of the way you can figure that out is you got to listen to the bass note, right? And so when the chords change, they usually change a lot of times on the measure, you know, on the downbeat, what we call the downbeat. And why do we call it a downbeat? You know, when you direct music, when a director directs music, right? This is called the downbeat. It's beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. So it's called the downbeat. So the downbeat is beat 1. So you hear 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Oops. 1, 2, 3. Right? And that's it's important to understand where those beats are. In fact, it's just important to understand like just where the beats are for beginners, I mean, to begin with. And then it's important to know where the downbeat is eventually, because when you're strumming or when you're finger picking, right? You know, I'm just doing it with a pick now, and right there I was just doing my pick on the low note and my ring finger on the top note. If I could save time in a bottle. Right, and using a pick instead of my fingers for another way to do it. So when you're writing out a tab, you got to know where the downbeat is, because you've got to know where to put beat 1. Also, when you're doing lyrics, if I were to, you know, do that 1, 2, if I could save time in a bottle, that's the downbeat. 1, 2, 3. You'll notice that the downbeat in the music matches with the strong beats in the word. If I could save time in a bottle, bang. The first thing that I'd like to do, right? And then you know where to put things in the music. It's really, really important. So that's probably the first thing. And when I'm looking at this tab, that, what was his name? I've forgotten his name really quick. But you'll notice that he put the downbeat on if, which is not correct, because if I should be on I. Could save time, he got that one right. In a bottle, he missed that one, because he's got it on tul instead of ba. The first thing, he got it on first, that's good. That I'd like, he missed that one, to do, he got that one. So it was actually a really good effort, because he got part of it right. You know, one time when I was writing music in a theory program in college, you know, and I wrote a piece of music, and my teacher graded it and he gave it back to me, and I looked at it. It was just one page. It was probably 16 measures or something like that. And it was a 4-part, like a chorale type of a thing. And it had red marks all over it. I mean, just everywhere. All kinds of red marks. Some of them were suggestions, and some of them were for him to say, well, you know, you need to look at this. This is, you didn't put a sharp here, or you didn't do the things you were supposed to do here. And then I looked at the top, and it said I got an A-. And I kind of scratched my head, and I thought, there's so many red marks on this. You know what I mean? I was expecting to get like a D- on this paper, right? On this piece of music. And he explained to me, he said, well, you did so many things right, you know, and some of these are just suggestions, but there are so many things that can go wrong, you know, in this kind of a piece when you're writing, that you did really well. And so we have to realize that, you know, when we're playing a piece of music, and we're getting most of it right, we're probably doing pretty well, you know. I mean, we might think that we're failing, but we're actually doing like either an A- job or a B+ job, or maybe even, you know, maybe even A job. But we're very critical of ourselves. Because like when I'm doing well, I did You've Got a Friend, and I just corrected this and put it in the book. You know, and I actually put music on it, and I put tab on it, and I put chords on it and things like that. And, someone says sometimes, hey, could you do a tab for me on that? And could you do this? And could you do that? Well, I thought to myself, I wonder how much detail actually goes into one of these things. And this one is actually 8 pages long. Well, I figured out that there was probably somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 details that I had to check to make sure that this was correct. Okay. And so, of course, when you're scanning it, and you're looking at it, and you're playing through it, I can check a lot of them really, really fast. And I really appreciate you guys when you're looking at any of the music that I ever put out. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. If you see a problem, or you see, that doesn't seem right, text me or get in touch with me and say, hey, I found this problem here. Because there are so many times that I will think, I got it. And I start teaching. In fact, I did this with You've Got a Friend. I was teaching it to a student a couple weeks ago, and I realized that I have left out a measure. The measure between the second verse, actually it was the second chorus, and the bridge. There was something that I actually had left out, and it wasn't until I started teaching it and going through those details that I went, whoa, where's that? It's not there. And even though I had played through it, I don't know how many times, and looked at it, and actually looked at it and played through it. I have a tendency to play it correctly and, look at it and not always understand exactly what I'm doing. That's why it's nice to be able to, when I'm writing something, especially that my wife can read, I'll hand it to her and I'll say, here, play through that. And I'll have her play through it because she doesn't know what it's supposed to sound like. If it comes out sounding good, then I've done it right. If there's mistakes in it, boy, it comes out right away. When you're working on things, when you're working on music, if you want to get better, obviously, at reading tablature, then you need to do something with tablature. Either write something out that you're transcribing, or copy something. That'll help you to do that. If you want to get better at, like you were talking about, Steve, how you were talking about you have trouble doing the melody while you play. Play songs with just a melody. I played this last time. I transcribed that for some of my students, and just something with a simple melody. There's some videos that I have. There's one called Concerning Hobbits. It came from the Lord of the Rings. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Or I did, I did some chords, and then I did the Concerning Hobbits melody. It's like a guitar duet. Those are really, and I did that with the Star Wars songs, and I'm actually thinking about, putting something out with, Stairway to Heaven or something like that, and having just like a guitar. Where does it start? So you just play the melody, and you get good at working with melodies. You get good at playing the chords, and then you combine them later. You can use a pick. You can use your fingers. There's a lot of things that you can do to help you improve in those areas, and it's really fun. My son and I, one of the things that we like to do, and he's learned some songs like More Than Words. Right, and he learned the chords, and then I would just sit there and play. Play the melody to More Than Words, and we just have fun with it. And then we'd flip it around, and he'd try the melody, and I would do the chords, and that's very valuable too. I used to simplify things more than I do now. But lately what I've been doing is I've been teaching songs the way I play them. And sometimes I do like a simplified version, and a lot of times you probably looked and seen me do this. I'll say, here's the harder way to play it, and here's a simple way to play it, or something like that. I sometimes include that because I know that there are people out there that are just starting out that say things like, I'm just starting, but I'm trying to tackle this song. And I'm thinking, well, there's all kinds of people out there looking at that. Experienced guitar players, intermediate guitar players, just rank beginners, just starting out, not knowing what they're doing, just trying out whatever they can. And I don't think it's too late to really tackle anything, to say, hey, I think I'll try something a little bit different, a little bit new, because it stretches us in our playing and in our progression, not only as players, as musicians, but also as people. Now, also, I've got this stuff not only just on the website, but the Quail Studios Music and Lead Sheets book that I publish. Have you seen that? Everything that I'm talking about is in there too. So I've got tablature in there. You can print out just one page of tablature. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a pencil. I usually use pencil. I don't usually use pen because I make mistakes, and so I have to erase it. And I'll just tab it out really quick in a form like that. And then I'll go to my computer and I use a program called Finale. And the reason I use Finale, and they've got different levels of it, I've been using Finale since the year, I think 1991 or 1992. I mean, I've been using Finale for a long time. This is the premier program that they use in colleges because it will do everything. I can orchestrate on it, I can do guitar tablature on it, I can do choral music, I can do piano music, anything I want. And it's really versatile. They've got a version that's not for $400 or $600, that you can get. They've got one that's like $120. That's, I don't know what it's called, but it's the lower level version, but I think it does guitar tab too. You can check that out if you want. There are other guitar programs out there, but I don't use them because I find Finale to be extraordinary, and I just upgrade every few years, 2, 3 years, 4 years, when I realize that they've added things to it and I need to upgrade because there's things that I don't have. I don't upgrade all the time, and it's probably anywhere from $80 to $120 to upgrade for me. All the music that you see me doing in the book like that, that's on Finale. It's amazing, when I first started writing music back in the 70s, of course, and there were no computers, and you guys all know this because you're old enough. I used to do it all by hand, and it took me no less than an hour to write out a sheet of music like that, to do it very, very neatly and everything. And if I left out a measure, I would have to start over and do it all over again. And now if I leave it out, I just, insert a measure and just keep going. It's just like typing. Delete, move things around and all that kind of stuff. It's amazing. We live in a wonderful age. And the reason I write things out is not really for me. There's a lot of lead sheets in the book where you just have the words and the chords, and that's it. And when I go to a gig, that's what I use. I don't use tablature or anything like that. Everything I have is committed to memory in the sense that maybe I don't have all the lyrics in memory, maybe I don't remember all the chords exactly, but once I look at it, I know the songs well enough to where I just have to look at it and go, oh yeah, I remember how this goes. And sometimes when I haven't played it for a while, it's like, I don't know how to play this because I don't remember how it goes. As soon as I remember how it goes, then it comes back. But the reason I started writing things out is because of my students. And people want it, so that's what we do. Right. Yep, exactly. Because when I've gone to gigs before, sometimes I'll take 120 songs with me, and I'm not going to play all 120 songs. Maybe I'm only going to play 35 or 40 in a night, but somebody will come up and they say, hey, do you know a song by Neil Diamond? And they'll say, can you play this by Neil Diamond? I'll say, well, no, I can't play that, but I can play I Am I Said, or I can play, you know what I mean? I usually have like 2 or 3 or 4 songs by many artists that I know. Very good. Well, that's all I have about tablature, at the moment. So is there any questions that I can answer or anything like that?